Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to episode 2 of the HNE Show. So, unlike the previous episode, this time I am solo, and I'm hoping this isn't a regular thing, but hopefully it's not too terrible that going forward, if I do need to be solo again for this, it's not, something that makes this not worth listening to, or I guess if you are listening to it, hopefully even me doing a solo is bearable enough to kind of go through the whole thing. But because this episode probably shorter than previous episodes, but getting onto our topics overall today, we have the first one being the New Mutants update, because we got a few updates for that movie, both date related and also regarding the contents of the film. Number 2 on our topics list, we have John Campia's rant that he recently did regarding Robert Pattinson's Batman, especially what he's been doing, according to the GQ interview he recently did. And then number 3 is talking about according to the Illuminati, who is basically just dropping scoop after scoop, Disney is adapting more classic animated movies into the live action, what the reports are saying are coming next, basically, and kind of what to expect. And also, just kind of throwing my ideas in there, what I would like to see and why in terms of adapting from classic Disney animation to, I guess, either live action or live action animated hybrid. Before we get into it, though, I want to give a shout out to YouTube user Sean Patinaudy, and I'm really sorry if I mispronounced your name. He said he's been subbed for almost 3 years now, and he just wanted basically a shout out. So here you go. And with all that said and done, let's get into the first topic. So with the New Mutants, officially Disney has given it a release date of August 28th, 2020, which no one believes, to no one's surprise, because this movie, I don't understand what's going on with it in terms of if it's cursed or something happened during production. I know they filmed it the same place they filmed Shutter Island. I mean, since Shutter Island happened, was some sort of curse developed there or something like that. It got haunted by an evil spirit. Who knows what's going on? But this movie has had terrible luck with release dates, even spanning back to the first one, which was April 13th, 2018. Then you go to February 29th. 2019, then August 2nd, 2019, then August 9th, 2019, jump to April 3rd, 2020, which due to coronavirus, ended up not being able to be a thing. And then last but not least, the new release date that I mentioned earlier of August 28th, 2020. Now, this is actually just overall kind of unfortunate for both the cast and the crew that worked really hard in the movie, just because I don't doubt the movie's good. By all test responses, the movie actually is probably one of the better ones, especially if you want to kind of look at it in hindsight as the last hurrah of Fox's X-Men universe. Definitely, it's a better final note than Dark Phoenix, but still it's just unfortunate that this may eventually become the first of potentially many more video on-demand releases outside of things like Trolls, of course, because this movie was expected to be a big moneymaker. Not a big moneymaker, but it was expected to do decent in the box office, enough that they kept justifying pushing back the release versus doing a straight to DVD or video on demand. But at this point, we actually may get a similar circumstance that Netflix and Amazon Prime Video do with their stuff, where they basically have it in theaters for a week or two. And obviously, if it does really well, they'll keep it in theaters, but usually after a week or two theatrical run that allows it to be in the running for certain awards in the Oscars and Golden Globes, once it meets that criteria, they put it on their service, whether it's Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, I guess Hulu would also be something, an example of that. So I wouldn't be surprised if for New Mutants, just to get it out there at this point, they put it out there in theaters on the listed release date, knowing full well that it's only going to have a couple of weeks, no more than a month maybe, and then go straight to something like video on demand or Disney Plus. But of course, a lot of that still depends on what the whole coronavirus situation is, whether there's still stay-at-home orders across the board, how the theaters are doing with it as well. Can they be opened? How would that even look or even work? So obviously there's more variables to play, but at this point, I would say don't be surprised, I guess, if it's video on demand. This whole thing has to be draining for Disney to constantly push it back and back and back. And at this point, you're not even going to have a realistic press tour for the most part. It'll probably just be everyone zooming in or Skyping in. You won't really have the formality that you had before, promoting a movie leading up to a movie. But that's really it in terms of the kind of release date stuff. Besides that, in terms of the New Mutants, it looks like the film is different than expected in terms of the content, because previously it was revealed that when it got pushed back again from 2019 to 2020, there was going to be some sort of kind of very, very last minute reshoots that were going to be going on. Some people said it was to add new characters in. Some people were going to say it was to give more synergy between that and potentially the MCU. But according to the Hollywood Reporter, none of that took place. There were no reshoots. I mean, whether that's because of coronavirus stuff or not, none of that ever even happened. The film that will be coming out is, as they put it, the film largely basically is the same as what test audiences saw back in 2017, except it has completed visual effects at this point, which, I would hope, because if it's the same film as 2017, I mean, if it doesn't have complete visual effects, I would be questioning what they've been doing for the past 2 or so years. All in all, this movie looks like it's going to be really great. It looks like, both from a directorial standpoint, comments that have been made, and people that have seen the test audience screenings, it's very faithful to the comics. I'm just really excited overall because, of course, when you say it's very accurate to the comics, very faithful to the comics, you don't usually think of the Fox X-Men, which isn't to say that the Fox X-Men aren't good, because that film franchise overall had some really great highs. I mean, Days of Future Past, I rewatched that the other day. Great film. The Wolverine, good movie. Obviously, Logan's as close to a masterpiece for most people as you can get for a comic book film. And even if you go back to the original, X-Men and X-Men 2, those are really great movies in their own right, even if they weren't 100% accurate to the comics. For some reason, with every third entry in those trilogies, it's not that great. First Class actually was really great. I think surprised a lot of people that were judging it by the trailer at first. But overall, I just think the Fox X-Men films, I really hope the New Mutants is good. I hope it's faithful to the comics in a great way. It doesn't take everything from the comics. It's not afraid to experiment and change things over a little bit. But I hope it's something that in the future we could look back on and just be like, you know what? The Fox X-Men movies overall had a good start with X-Men and a decent enough finish with, I guess, New Mutants in this case, to be a respectable franchise in its own right instead of being stained by, obviously, Phoenix. That's really it for this episode of the HNE show. I almost said HNE pod, but the HNE show. Thanks for watching. If you've been watching the whole thing, let me know down below what platform you're watching on, whether it's YouTube, which is in segments, or if you're listening to the whole audio all the way through on a platform like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or SoundCloud. Links will be in the description for each one of them if you want to listen to it on any of the different platforms. We also try tweeting it out and sharing it on Facebook as well if you follow us there. But in terms of doing the episode solo, let me know what you guys think about that as well, whether there's any things in general you think I can improve upon. Leave viewer questions as well if you would like, so I can answer them in future episodes. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you want to hear the whole thing on YouTube instead of going to something like Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, I upload the full version every Saturday. So just check it out on Saturday if you want to hear the whole thing in its entirety on YouTube. But with that being said, thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.